Howdy. Okay. When I say file management, you say, hello, file management.
Hello.
File management.
Hello.
File management.
Hello.
I bet you can't guess what this video is about. It's about file management, just in case you didn't know. Okay? So, it's just a fact of life that every now and then you're gonna have to file manage. Okay? You need to keep your files nice and tidy. Sometimes you're gonna lose some files, okay? For instance, I just lost a document that I was working on just before called Sad Panda. And I'm a bit of a sad panda that I lost it. It's really quite awesome that it was called Sad Panda and I'm now a sad panda. Anyway, to find it, there's a few things that I can do. Have you got a good view of the computer? Yeah? Maybe?
It's fuzzy.
And you just focus it with this one.
Oh, that one. There we go.
We good?
Better. Yeah.
Yep, choice. Okay, so now there's two ways that I can find my sad panda. I can either have a look in the search documents and type in the name of what I want to find, so we can tell just from previous searches that I tried to find a few things. Yoda, password, capital training letterhead, some previous searches. We type in sad panda maybe if we have a look somewhere else. There we go. I've found my document called Sad Panda. We can also use this file tree over here, this directory, to find documents. So let's say I put Sad Panda on my desktop. I click on desktop down here, scroll down until I find my Sad Panda document. This is generally how I prefer to find my documents. So I quite often leave most of what I'm working on in the documents, and then if I click onto that part of the directory tree, I can find everything that I have on the go at the moment. So, 705 is something I'm working on. So is level 2. Desktop dwellers, something I work on a lot. Now, I'm going to have to read this for a little bit. What I'm also going to show you is your folder structure that you're going to need to follow from here on out in your level 2 qualification. While working on different activities, save them in an appropriately named folder in your documents here. Okay? So let's say you're working on module 1. You want to make a new folder, okay, and you want to call it module 1. If you were working on module 3 or 4, you'd call it module 3 or 4. We're not looking for anything, amazing. Just make sure that you know where you're keeping your files. In there, in this folder, this is where you're going to save your documents. Okay? Now, let's say you're working on a file and it's a letter to the mayor, and the instructions where you got that brief are on page 47. You would call it something like letter to the mayor, page 47. This just lets your tutor know exactly what your file is. So, let's say we do that, okay? We open up Microsoft Word, letter to the mayor. That's just gone letter to the. That's okay. You go File, Save As. Okay. We want to make sure that we save it in the right place. For this one, we put it in the Documents folder, and we put them in our Module 1 folder, we make sure that we call it what it is. So the file name is Letter to the Mayor, page, let's say the instructions for that were on page 47. We hit save. Now when we open up that folder, we can see Letter to the Mayor. This is just an easy way to keep our files in order. Now, when you're submitting your work for marking, and your tutor will go over this with you, you're going to have to submit them into here, the assessments folder, and you're going to have your own named folder. This is where you put in your work once you're finished with it, okay? Your tutor is going to go into that with you in person. But for now, we work in the documents folder. You might be doing a bit of an observation where you have to create a folder. We've just seen how to do that. We've just seen how to save documents into that folder. We've seen how to name those documents. We're also going to have to do a couple of things. Okay, if you right click on your file, you can rename it. This can be useful if the contents of your document change. So let's say it changes dramatically, so we have to call it Dave. Now, what happened here is I actually had the document open. When you've got the document open, you can't rename it. So what I have to do is I have to close the document, then try again to rename it. Dave. Now, the document has a new name. We're also going to want to be able to move folders, move files. So what we can do is we can open up another folder, and we can literally just drag files between them. That's how you move a file from one folder to another. Or we could copy and paste. That's going to leave one copy in each folder. That's really good if you want to back up your work and make sure that you're safe from any viruses or something like that which can corrupt documents. Another pretty handy tool to have when you're thinking about file management is right click, delete. Deleting files is for when they've really just made you angry or they're useless now. Deleting a file isn't actually as easy as it seems, because what I've done there is I've just gotten rid of it from that folder. It's still on my computer in the recycle bin. You see here he is here, Dave. So to completely delete it from your computer, you have to go onto your recycle bin, right click and hit empty recycle bin. That deletes it completely from your computer. You can almost think of that as like the ultimate file management, just a hard delete. Well, those are just some of the basic tools and instructions for file management here at Capital Training. Hope you've learnt something, and please make sure that you create appropriately named folders, and make sure your files are called something that's useful. Don't just call them Scux Deluxe 92, because you never know what's going to be in there in a month or so. Give them good names, it just makes it easier for us to mark. Alright, we've got some angry birds to play. Lights.